watching Malc Benjy. You lucky son of a bitch. Subscribe.
Hello and welcome to Malc Benjy's Vidcast.
I'm Malc.
And I'm Benjy. And again, it's been quite some time since we spoke to you. Yeah. The best way to solve that, if you are a fan of Malc Benjy's Vidcast, and if you're not, why you're here, the best way to solve that is to share these videos with your friends and really get the message out there that we're doing this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll continue to just be a pair of layabouts having day jobs, getting in the way of our dream of whinging about films for.
Yeah. I want to whinge, damn it.
Yeah.
I want to whinge.
So plenty going on at the moment in the world of films and geekery. It's the San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, which, as you can see, we're not there again. This marks 250 successive years of missing San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Again, if you'd like to get some official Malc Benjy Comic-Con stuff, pay us to go there. We can get a Kickstarter up, or just send us checks.
We'll gladly do a vidcast from Hall H. Totally.
Which one's Hall H?
That's the one where they do all the big trailers and
cool
and stuff.
Yeah.
It's where the Warner's panel and the Marvel panel and all that's going to be.
Yeah. We'll do some of the smaller stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. We'll do it all.
Just pay for us to
We
go.
just want to go,
please. Anyway, Comic-Con's on. Plenty of very interesting news coming out of Comic-Con. There is a Hobbit teaser.
Yes.
The Hobbit, the Battle of Five Armies.
Mm-hmm.
The Five Armies.
Battle of the Five
Battle
Armies.
of the Five Armies.
No, I think it's the Battle.
The Battle of the Five Armies.
It's got the second most thes in a Lord of the Rings title.
Okay.
The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King still has the...
Okay.
And the Fellowship of the Ring, of course. The Lord of the Rings.
The Fellowship
of
the Ring. Okay.
So they're tied for
Yeah.
the top. And then The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah, which is still tied with The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
The Hobbit, The Battle of the... No, it's only got three.
Yeah, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Oh, with tied with the Two Towers. I thought you were saying it was tied with that. Yeah, so a lot of those.
They've released a poster as well. The footage hasn't made it online yet, so we can't really react to that. But the poster looks badass.
The poster does.
A visage of Lake Town with Bard in the foreground with his back to the camera, or back to the frame, looking at Smaug, who towers mightily over the town. Looks very impressive.
It does. I think as much as I'm looking forward to it, and as good a job I think as they made of Desolation, I do think for the people who haven't read the book and who still might have thought the foreshadowing was a little heavy-handed with Bard and Smaug, this poster I think might have put the giant black arrow in the coffin.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's awesome, isn't it?
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
But what I don't get is why have they started with this Smaug versus Bard and called it the Battle of the Five Armies, which doesn't feature in Lake Town at all, does it?
No, it doesn't take place in Lake Town.
And Bard isn't involved in it, as far as I'm aware.
I think he is.
Is he? Okay, but Smaug
he's not as major a player as Thorin and co.
No.
And
should have called it The Hobbit 3 Smaug Kicks Ass, or something,
Electric Boogaloo.
Yes. Something better than the Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Five Armies sounds like a tie-in computer game.
It does. Well, I just think it is, in fairness, it is a title of a chapter in the book. It's not just been pulled out of thin air.
No.
And it is a significant event that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
But it's still akin to calling the Two Towers, The Lord of the Rings, The Battle of Helm's Deep.
Yeah. Or The Lord of the Rings, The Ents Get Angry.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see... I can see where he was coming from with dropping the there and back again, because the there has happened in movie 2, but I still think you could get around it, because
there and back again is a phrase. It's an existing phrase.
Exactly, and 3 will open there.
Yeah.
So the there is still there, and the back again is still going to be part of it. So it would have worked.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't want there and back again, if you're going to change it to something other than the Battle of the Five Armies, I think. But
there's also a lot of comic book movie news. As people going to the cinema will be aware, comic book movies and comic book adaptations are a huge part of blockbuster cinema at the moment, and a huge part of our fandom.
They're pretty much an economy all of their own.
So we've got an Ant-Man poster. We've got news of Paul. Not Paul.
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson pulling out because of the change in the shooting schedule. There are, as we speak, or in fact over a few days, they are releasing several Avengers 2 posters
Yes, I'm one of
that
these.
fit together to make one great big concept art poster for the film, which looks really good.
It does look really cool.
It kind of gives away who the villain is going to be. It's not just Ultron, it's the Ultronettes, isn't it? The backup army.
The Ultron. Well, I mean, it looks like the comic Ultron Unlimited, which has ostensibly begins with Ultron 5 plotting world domination.
Okay.
And then eventually they're fighting an army made up of like Ultron 17 and Ultron 252 and Ultron, and you're like, oh my god, how many hymns has he made? And it always confused me because Ultron 1 through 4, each one is progressively more advanced and more terrifying. It's the same mind, it's the same consciousness, but he upgrades. And then Ultron 5 kicks off Ultron Unlimited. Is it 5 or is it 7? The Ultron who's kicked off Ultron Unlimited, and it's then revealed that he's advanced loads before. But why are all the later numbers suddenly following the lower number? Where Ultron 1 wouldn't have been in charge, but I suppose it's the same. It's a hive mind, so I've talked myself out of it.
Yeah, okay, that's good now because we didn't know, and now we do through your.
I'm sure you're all glad that happened.
It's a bit of a monologue. It's good. I like it.
Sorry,
makes sense.
This is what I can bring to these things.
Yeah.
This is.
There's a snippet of the Vision.
Yes.
Who is played by Paul Bettany, who voices Jarvis, who is the computer of Iron Man in the Iron Man films. He's in the poster. Scarlet Witch, Captain America, Black Widow, all the major players.
We've seen everyone except Thor and Hulk.
We see Thor's cape in the latest one.
We see Thor's cape, and we see Hulk's knuckle in I think Black Widow's one.
I love Hulk.
You can see, so we know which quadrants they're going to be, or sextants. No, it's
octants.
Octants,
yeah,
octants now.
2 octants left.
2 octants left, and we know which ones are going to be because you can see in the framing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, admittedly, you can see a bit of Thor's cape on the one side, and you can see a bit of Mjolnir on the other side. And I think the Thor one, much as I love Thor, and I do love Thor. You know what? You know I love Thor. I think the Thor one's going to look exactly like every poster for the Dark World. Look, the cape's flying off that way.
There's only so much.
The cape's flying off this side of it, and the hammer's flying off that side. And he's going to be in the middle, moving like this. And
okay.
It's still going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could levy that same criticism. Maybe not all the other ones, but Hulk will probably be raising his fist at something.
He's not going to be reading a book or wiping his ass, is he?
But yeah, it's shaping up nicely. Yeah. The Iron Man armour, I really like. It's one of the most subtle and yet, or one of the most simple and yet effective redesigns. It's basically it's the Mark 42 with the colours inverted back to the normal colour scheme. So it's different enough from the 42 because the colours are reversed. But then similarly, they've not just gone back from the 42 to the 7 that we saw in Avengers. It's presumably at least the 43. Well, it's going to be much more because we've seen all the.
Oh, of course, yeah.
All the others. There was a lot more than 41 that rocked up at the end of Iron Man 3. So. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
But whatever number
it's going to be a high number.
It's going to be a high number, and it's pretty cool. I mean, his designs varied only slightly from movie to movie, and that's all it needs to do. Yeah. What else? Marvel TV news.
Ah, yeah.
There's been a lot.
Yeah.
I think before we get into the really exciting stuff, do season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've added a few cast members.
Xena Warrior Princess, Lucy Lawless, has been cast as a good guy or bad guy, we don't know, but she's good.
She's going to be a long-time S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, is the character. She's been in S.H.I.E.L.D. for a long time, so I'm guessing she's... I don't know if she's necessarily good. I think at this stage we can say she won't be Hydra, because I think they've rooted out all the Hydra.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
For Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
For Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1. Although, in fairness, if you've seen Captain America the Winter Soldier...
Yeah, it's been a while.
A lot of time's passed. But she might be bad in a different way, or she might be genuinely good, we don't know. But she's at least ostensibly coming in as an ally. She's an old school S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Yeah.
There were another couple of names mentioned there's going to be another human antagonist similar to Ian Quinn from season 1.
Okay.
He's not Shield or Hydra or anything, but he's a normal human and he's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Mockingbird is going to be in it. She's a superhero from Marvel, funnily enough.
She's no Batman then?
No.
Okay.
She was formerly a Shield agent, and she's not got any powers, but she's super. She's like Black Widow. She's super ninjutsu and stuff. She becomes Mockingbird. She becomes a costume vigilante when she leaves Shield, and she's, amongst other things, she's Hawkeye's wife.
Oh, okay.
They had a whirlwind romance in one of her early stories, and they eloped and got married quite early on. So it's not like a lot of the superhero couples where it's on again, off again for years, and then there was a big wedding issue.
They're just effectively married.
They're just effectively happily married for a long time, and then they've had their soap opera moments,
which hopefully would lead for some Jeremy Renner.
Cameo, yeah.
He's still not that big a star that he'd be too expensive, but he's good enough that I want to see him.
Well, first thing I saw Jeremy Renner in was a Joss Whedon TV show, so there's...
Was it?
Yeah, he was a baddie in like episode 4 of Angel.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. He was the one... He had the ring that he would... The spiked ring that he wore in his pinky, and he'd scratch crosses on his victims' cheeks, and that was something Angelus used to do. And so Angel's freaking out that he's going out at night and killing people when he's in his sleep.
Okay.
But it turns out it's this guy, played by Jeremy Renner, who was an old protege of his, who's copycat killing to his brother. And yeah, that was Jeremy Renner.
Cool.
And then years later he was Hawkeye. So Jeremy Renner being in a Joss Whedon TV show is not without precedent.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be cool. Or she might rock around in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a few seasons and then graduate to the movies. I mean, Mockingbird was eventually an Avenger in the comics, so that could happen in the movie.
Cool.
Or they never have the two of them meet, which will really upset me, but if we're being brutally honest, is a real possibility with the way these things
as long as they talk about them being married.
Yeah.
As long as they don't...
That would be quite interesting, actually, if she's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who's also Clint Barton's ex-wife, and they maybe the two of them speak about each other and complain about each other
across
franchises, but they don't share any screen time. That might be a neat way to, get around contracts and screen time and budget and things. But I don't know. I'd like to see them together. They're cute. I liked when they were together in the comics.
Yeah.
Spoilers, they're not now.
Oh.
Comics.
There's also the Agent Carter.
Yeah, this is the really
TV series. Thing. Yeah. So following the one shot, which is the short films that they put onto the Marvel feature film DVDs, which is very popular, great reaction. Haley Atwell really up for it. They've greenlit Agent Carter miniseries. Starring Haley Atwell
and Dominic Cooper.
Dominic Cooper, who played Howard Stark in Captain America 1. So it's going to be a late 1940s, early 1950s espionage-based superhero, thing, TV series, which, as well as being kind of pulp and Indiana Jones-ish and kind of, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, kind of that kind of vibe, it also gives me a nice vibe of the early Hellboy comics. Well, not the early Hellboy comics, but there's a lot of Hellboy comics that flash back to that 40s, 50s pulp era. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of that kind of... It's not quite steampunk, but it's retro futurism kind of, when the MacGuffins come up and whatnot. I'm looking forward to that very much.
It's gonna be cool. I think the fact that it's also going to be a sister show to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to help as well. I don't want them to be too heavy-handed with it, but I wouldn't mind some subtle things where a plot point or something at development. If we've got Peggy Carter and Howard Stark setting up S.H.I.E.L.D. In Agent Carter, and this is the early days of it, and they're building it from the ground up. Be alongside, in the present day storyline, director Coulson, spoilers, rebuilding S.H.I.E.L.D. after Cap 2. That's nice that we're going to see.
There could be villains played by young actors in Agent Carter that we then see played by old actors coming back in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and having a lot of timeline crossing and MacGuffin they bury in one episode is uncovered again in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That would be really cool.
A mistake Stark or Carter makes could come back to bite Coulson in the ass.
Yeah.
Things like that.
There's a lot of scope for that.
So that'd be. I don't want them to overdo it. I think both shows deserve to stand on their own 2 feet.
Of course, yeah.
But like again, the
Very high pitch.
example we've it was it's nice.
Of course.
Of course. The example we just brought up, Buffy and Angel.
Yeah.
They weren't too heavy-handed with the crossovers. That worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Aside from arguably, obviously, Angel's lead being a character lifted directly into Buffy, but
I know what you mean.
But post Angel's pilot,
mm-hmm.
So if they could weave that level of cross decades, symmetry, that would work. Yeah.
Joss Whedon's really good, and hopefully he'll keep it up.
Yeah. And fair as well, Jed Whedon and Marissa Tanchorian. Yeah, they're calling the shots. They're the showrunners, aren't they? Joss is kind of he shepherded it into being. And yeah.
Earrings is brought up. Jed, I've read your latest script. Just do this, and this, please.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think. Yeah.
On the other side of the coin, DC, some new shots have been released of Batman.
Batman
and
Superman. Fry, Leader, Robert.
The first shots of Clark Kent, the first couple of shots of Batman, a new shot of Batman. His cowl was really revealed at the Comic Con.
I really liked that. The empty cowl in the display case. That was cool. That's how you tease a movie.
Yeah,
that really is.
And in the last few hours, there's been a reveal of the first shot of Cam Gigadet. Cam Gigagoot.
Gamma Dolt. No.
Gal Gadot.
We're
Gal Gadot.
We're being awful.
I can't remember her name. There's someone called Cam Gigadet. I think it might be a man. Anyway, the first shot of Wonder Woman, and here it is.
Here it is in HD, in glorious HD. I'm going off the wrong way.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So that's.
It's very disappointing. She looks very attractive, and she looks, she's a good-looking woman, and it looks like Wonder Woman should look, but it's 2014, for God's sake. Do we really need to see that much of her legs? You can see the little dimple where her groin is. It's very over-sexualised, and the one thing I just want to bring this up before we sort of launch into anything else is the high heels.
Yeah.
Why is she wearing high heels? Why must you continually put feminine heroes into high heels? Black Widow wears high heels. Trinity in the Matrix has high heels. They wouldn't. They need to fight and run. Take their high heels away.
1991. Terminator 2.
Yes.
Linda Hamilton.
1979. Alien. Ellen Ripley.
Or Ripley. James Cameron invented the Ellen.
I don't care. That's fine.
But anyway, Ripley.
They had flat shoes and they were fine.
Yeah, work boots.
Stop giving Wonder Woman high heels.
Stupid. It is stupid. And this is the thing, because I can hear the defences already, and they're going to say, "Oh, she's an Amazonian. She's from a different time period." This might explain the flesh being on display. That's how.
Yes, the Greek men had that. You got Brad Pitt and Troy wearing that same kind of skirt. So fair enough.
So that's fair enough. High heels hadn't been invented yet.
No.
So is she upgrading bits of her costume to be modern where it suits her?
Yeah,
or it suits her male
rubbish.
paymasters?
The fact that she is the third biggest superhero in DC's lineup, and she's in this film, and it's called Superman v Batman: Dawn of Justice, and it doesn't even name her in the title. Oh, it smacks of tokenism and sexism, and don't get me wrong, I like looking at pretty women, okay? I like looking at pretty ladies. I married one for Pete's sake. Plus points.
Yep. Good shout.
But, if I'm watching a warrior woman being a warrior, I don't really care about her fashion sense. I want to see her fight. I want to see Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman, not, Zack
sex
Snyder's,
object.
Fetish. Object,
And
it bugs me.
As you said, we spoke about earlier. By all means, if they've hired this actress who's very pretty, and I've got to give her credit. I was worried when they first hired her because she's very skinny in the Fast and Furious films, and I said she's not going to pull this off. But looking at that photo, and I know they can airbrush things and take things, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. I think she's hit the gym, she's bulked up, and she does look. She doesn't maybe look as strong and athletic as Wonder Woman would be in reality if she existed, but certainly enough to carry the image. She's done a good job there
to fit the historical image of Wonder Woman.
So I can understand them wanting to show off this. If they've hired this woman as much for her body as for her acting, let's be honest, probably more so.
Yeah.
But again, like we said, you know, there's shots in Man of Steel of Henry Cavill with his top off, but he doesn't spend the whole film like that. And I think what's true of the men should be equally true of the women. If there's a couple of establishing shots of Diana Prince waking up in bed and getting ready to, or something, or you know, there's some kind of plot contrivance whereby she's in a state of undress for a few seconds. I'm not going to
go undercover in a strip bars.
Yeah, the really blatant X-Men First Class.
Oh,
where
yeah.
Rose Byrne just gets her kit off because she can.
Yeah.
But again, you know, if there's a few shots like that, and certainly I appreciate her form enough, I'm not going to complain. Yes, it's gratuitous, but then it's gratuitous to get Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill's shirts off as well. So they should either all do it or none of them do it. But either way, the difference is their costumes aren't sexualising them.
Yeah.
Hers is sexualising her.
Yeah.
That's
if
wrong.
Batman had high heels and bat nipples, I'd have less of an issue.
If Joel Schumacher was making this, it would be fine. Let's put
even as a joke, I can't get on board with that.
George Clooney was as sexualised as Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah. As in, not.
As in, not at all.
As in, I didn't think of sex for months after seeing that film.
So
Walking Dead season 5. Not technically a film, and we are kind of movie based, but still very much cinematic.
So the line is being blurred very much between
so.
movies and TV. Yeah.
That looks very exciting.
It does.
The end of season 4 was really, really exciting. Really nice cliffhanger.
Season 4 was a bally good season right the way through. I've got to be honest. It was
I like all of The Walking Dead. Even the second season that people have dubbed The Talking Dead, I still
enjoyed
really
it,
like The Walking Dead. And when, you know, with Comic-Con, with looking at these sci-fi and fantasy and comic properties, it's nice to see these things like Walking Dead, things that maybe aren't quite in vogue at the moment because they're in between seasons, but you're still getting teases for what's coming, so that's good.
That is cool. Yeah. I'm up for Walking Dead.
Guardians of the Galaxy,
of course,
has been released. No, it hasn't. It's been premiered in America and the UK.
And the critical embargo is lifted.
Yeah, it's getting very, very, very positive reviews.
Strong word of mouth.
I think it's fair to say you can expect a vidcast.
Oh yeah.
Not long after we've both seen it.
To be honest, if we didn't have wives and jobs,
day one.
It would be day one, and we'd be getting home and recording the vidcast that night.
Yeah. That will be the lobby of the cinema that we just walked out of.
Totally. But I think practicality might dictate. There might be a few days of a lull, but we'll be hot on its heels.
It'll give you, our loyal viewers, a chance to go and see the film yourself, and then you can come and listen to our opinions. And for those of you who aren't too keen, you can wait to see what we say before you decide to go and see it. But it's something I've been really excited for a long time. I've read quite a lot of the Rocket Raccoon and Groot comics, and I really enjoyed them.
I need to let you... Sorry. I've got Scotty Young's first issue of Rocket. It's glorious.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I left it lying the other day after I finished reading it, and the wife picked it up and read it cover to cover, and then announced that we have to get all of these.
Brilliant.
She wants. It's going to be awesome.
So that's kind of news from the world of film and geekery.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's something else we want to cover. You were going to tell me about Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman was in trouble a few weeks ago for basically semi-defending Mel Gibson's anti-Semitic tirade when he was arrested. Beg your pardon, a few years ago. He basically said that Hollywood's run by Jews and Mel Gibson did wrong because he bit the hand that fed him. But really, haven't we all said things like that? This was in a Playboy article, which came out, and he was lambasted, and then he went on a bunch of talk shows where he apologised, and I'm sorry, and can we just talk about apes, please? And yeah, he seems to have escaped it. Now he's a working class, bit of a tough upbringing from southeast London. Yeah. I'm sure he said things that he's sorry for, and I'm sure he thinks things that even we shouldn't have said, and we all do think things we shouldn't say, but then don't say them to a bloody interviewer.
No.
For one of the most highly read magazines in America.
Especially when, I mean, even the fact that you're talking about the Mel Gibson thing shows that you're aware of how quickly. Again, I'm going to sound it almost like I'm on Mel Gibson's side, and I'm not. But it shows how quickly you can get yourself in trouble with these things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your case in point right there, Gary, what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the love of God, don't do it.
Yep. Yep.
Disappointing. I mean, we're basically gay for Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly am.
Yeah.
But you're not far behind me.
Not far behind you.
Yeah, we love Gary Oldman here at Malc Benjy. And I will continue to enjoy his fine body of work.
Yes.
But yeah, that's
I hope he meant his apology.
Yes.
And we can all get on with things.
Move on.
I hope that's acceptable to our own sense of right and wrong and the internet.
Absolutely.
But it gives us a nice segue into our main topic of conversation.
Yes.
Which is Universal Pictures. Universal Pictures?
I believe so.
Dotpota.
No, it's 20th Century Fox.
20th bloody
It is
Fox.
20th
Of course
Century
it is.
Fox.
20th Century Fox's Dotpota. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Dawn of the Planet of the... That's just two those.
There's just two there's. Yeah.
You're not in the Lord of the Rings league.
But two of those as well, which is...
Oh, then that gets a bonus point for that.
Yeah. I'm going to say fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth film in the franchise. The second film in the second reboot of the franchise.
The seventh film that we like to talk about in the franchise.
Oh, I don't know about that. You've been very kind to some of the classic ones back there.
Yeah.
Certainly the one that you're wanting to avoid, I want to avoid as well.
Yeah, but is it alone? Probably not.
It's the worst one, but not by much.
Yeah.
The sequel to 2011's
Dotpota
sees the world 10 years on after the simian flu that happened over the end credits of Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Nicely done in both films, by the way.
Very
spread by the planes.
Very nicely done. So it's 10 years later, and it's 2 years since the apes have last seen humans. And they're living their happy life in the trees of San Francisco, or across the bay from San Francisco, I should say, when suddenly humans arrive and guns are fired and
mistakes are made.
And
the comments are said to newspapers by Gary Oldman that
directors leave and other directors are hired. It all goes pear-shaped, and then plot happens and good film follows.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much into the plot because it is still quite a new film, and if you want to wait for the DVD, we're trying to avoid spoilers. We can't guarantee it. Spoiler warning.
Something might slip out.
Yeah, but we'll do our best.
Even if it doesn't slip out today, it might slip out in 6 months when I'm talking about it, and as I've just done to Shield a minute ago.
Yeah.
But we'll try.
I don't want to mention the bit at the end when all the characters die because they blow up a bomb at the center of the planet, but I mean, Malc might come out with that, so.
Yeah, well, what I would probably drop out is, apart from Charlton Heston in his From Beyond the Grave recycled footage cameo, he doesn't die because, of course, he finds the statue.
Of course, it turns out that it was Earth all along.
We finally made a monkey. Right.
So it's...
That's great because Fox can't sue us for using their Simpsons song there because we're promoting their film for them right now.
Oh, can then... No, well... Yeah, it was good, Fox. It was very good. We enjoyed it. Go see it. Yeah.
I think if Fox were going to sue us, they would have sued us when we did X-Men Origins Wolverine. To be honest,
the Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, we got kind of personal on that one. We left the studio alone and picked on the creator. I think.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah.
Anyway, so Rise of the Planet of the Apes was a very successful film. It was good. It was very good.
It was much better than I thought it was going to be.
It was much better than I think everyone thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
it was the second reboot following Tim Burton's reboot, and it shouldn't have been good. It was directed by a guy that used to direct Hollyoaks, which is a sitcom in the UK. If you don't know the UK, it's a dreadful, dreadful programme.
It is.
And I don't care if Channel 4 sue me, that it's awful. And he blasted out a phenomenally good, clever, well-acted, well-characterised blockbuster with one of the finest CG performances from the basically the originator of CG performance, Andy Serkis.
The no pun intended King Kong of the genre.
Yeah.
Of the art form, should I say.
Very much the godfather of motion capture performance. He's a very, very fine actor in and of himself, but as a mocap guy, he is the guy that has invented it. Not to downplay the team of technicians that work with him, but from the acting point of view,
that's it. He's a figurehead as well as being an actor who does technology. He's kind of a pioneer in the technology. Not in the technology. I know he's not the techie. I'm trying to not downplay. What I'm saying is, Andy Serkis is the one that goes and talks to the press about it, and he touts it up. He always brings up the team around him. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. He's the spokesperson. He's the mouthpiece as well as the actor. Behind it.
So he returns here playing the role of Caesar, who is the chief ape. The cleverest chimp. The leader of the chimps, and again
the king of the swingers through the jungle VIP.
Nice, and he absolutely bats it out the park. He is a phenomenal actor. Gollum was superb, King Kong was sublime, Caesar in the first one was excellent, but here he really takes it up to the next level.
This is easily the best thing I've seen from him in or out of mocap. He's good. I've seen him playing in Flesh and Blood, acting as himself. Nearly as often, not quite as often as I've seen him in a mocap performance. But either in both spheres of things he's done, I think this so far for me is the performance of his career. I was moved very nearly to tears multiple times.
I think he has done better stuff in smaller indie movies that it's not, he's not playing a hero, and therefore he's able to... He
can bring more drama.
Absolutely. But in terms of blockbusters, in terms of that kind of character, this is definitely up there.
Actually, that's a good point. For the whole movie, not just Andy Serkis, in terms of blockbusters, this has got some surprisingly moving character stuff. Compared to the likes of the films we've been talking about, the Marvel films, the Warner Brothers films, which are all fun and great and have some great acting in them. But this really had a lot of meat to it. Not as much as you would get in a low budget indie drama dealing with some real stark issues, but much more than you get in your average blockbuster, I would say.
Like Iron Man 3. Dealing with stark issues. Sorry. It's phenomenal, and the technology absolutely backs up the performance. It's the first time that they have done motion capture on location out in the wild and not in a studio. And it just looks good. It just fits. It blends into the environment seamlessly. When you look at the raw footage of guys in grey grey sort of morph suits and ping pong balls on themselves, acting like apes, and then you see the finished footage, it's beautiful, the work that they've done. And it's one of the examples of using CGI as an artistic tool, as opposed to most blockbusters. Certainly, in the late 90s, early noughties, blockbusters were using CG instead of storytelling. And now they're going back to using it to enhance and supplement the storytelling, and it's really good to see that happening.
There's so many I've heard virtually every review I've read, or interview I've seen, podcast I've listened to, video I've watched with people talking about this film. Somebody has dropped this phrase, and I was almost fed up of hearing it before I saw the film, and now I'm very proud to count myself among the people who's going to drop this phrase when I see it. There are multiple times in this film where you forget two things. You forget that you're watching a guy in a mocap suit because the animation's that good, and you forget that you're watching apes. The acting is so good. There's some scenes between Caesar and Koba, or between Caesar and his son, and even scenes between Koba and Caesar's son, where I just feel like I'm watching two actors in a really good drama film be really good. And then I go, oh wait a minute, they're chimpanzees. And then I go, oh wait a minute, it's a guy in a morph suit. And a bunch of animation. But everyone involved is doing their job to such a high degree that you just get sucked in. And the script is really good as well. That helps it along. Sorry. That helps it along, and you're in the moment all the time. It's terrific. It's phenomenal.
That's a really good way to put it. You're in the moment. It blends so seamlessly. You're not aware that what you're watching. That's a great. That's a great description.
You're engaged in the story. You're engaged in the performance. and the visual effects are so very good. They back both up so well that
yeah. I love the post-apocalyptic design of it. I love the human city, and I love the ape city as well. That's really well designed. It has shreds of the ape civilization from Planet of the Apes, the original, and you know, the Tim Burton reboot, but copied a lot of that, and that's carried through the sort of the sharp spikes and the sort of the not quite human dimensions to the buildings and stuff.
It very much works as a proto, as a genesis. If it was a prequel rather than a reboot, at least in this aspect, it absolutely works. You can see this ape society.
They've got these sort of piles, like almost like bonfires, which look like the warning signs from the original Planet of the Apes, those twisted sort of apes. So yeah, that's really, really good. The design is superb. I like the human actors as well. I do think the human actors are a little bit short-shrifted, apart from the main guy and Kerry Russell.
I disagree with you there. I think Kerry Russell is as well. But I'll move on to that.
She's not in it as much as the male characters, but when she is in it, she's given some quite nice character moments.
One or two, yeah, maybe.
I think she is. Okay. As opposed to, say, for example, Gary Oldman, who really doesn't have a lot of character development.
No.
He's just there to shout a few times and then he presses a button. And
that's it.
Oh, yes.
The iPad.
Yes. That's why you cast Gary Oldman.
We won't say much more for fear of spoilers, but there's a scene with Gary Oldman and a dusty old iPad, because it's post-apocalyptic future. Keep your eyes out for that. It's wonderful. But you're right, it's one moment in a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
And it's not to the movie's detriment because you're so interested in what else is going on, but absolutely I agree with your point that it's an example of a character who's not given much development in the film.
So the apes are given great character development. We see a lot of their work, a lot of the actors got putting their work into it, but not so the humans.
No.
The plot is very straightforward. And it works because of that. They don't try and overcomplicate it. It's very simply a case of mixed messages and breaks in communication that leads to conflict, and it's great. It works really well.
It's sort of almost immediately before every crisis kicks off. You're almost there ahead of them. You realise it sounds like I'm saying it's predictable, and essentially it is, but in a good way.
It's use of dramatic irony.
It's leading,
yeah.
And you go, oh no, this is going to backfire horribly, or oh no, he's going to think that when it was actually that, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, why didn't you listen? And
I hope it's not being too hyperbolous to say that it's almost Shakespearean, especially when you look at the relationship between Caesar Koba and Blue Eyes, Caesar's son. There are elements there of epic tragedy and characterizations there.
The themes of sort of family and loyalty that come through, I think it's very Shakespearean. I don't think that's hyperbolic.
Good.
2 drops of hyperbolic, one from each half in like a minute and a half there. That's good. That's this is the highbrow Malc Benjy vidcast.
Absolutely. It really is a very, very good film. It's on the way to being, well, it's definitely a contender for film of the year so far.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just from a blockbuster sequel reboot, you shouldn't expect this high quality, and it delivers. It delivers a very strong character drama. It delivers some beautiful special effects that support some very, very decent acting.
And some great action sequences as well. Yeah,
the action sequences are phenomenal. It's Matt Reeves who directed Cloverfield behind the camera, and he brings, this is what, his third film? And he brings a confidence to his action sequences that you don't get in Michael Bay films. Bing, bing. The camera lingers. You see what's going on. You see where people are heading when they're fighting. You see the conflict between them. There are moments of conflict between Caesar and Koba, because obviously they're apes. There's a lot of sort of alpha male posturing, and there are moments of stillness and quiet that absolutely support the drama behind the action. And then when it goes all out towards the end for the climax, again you get these moments of pause, these moments to reflect, these moments where you are able to stop and breathe and think about what's going on. Which is one of the reasons why I think Empire Strikes Back is better than Phantom Menace, because you don't get that in Phantom Menace, but you do in Empire. Star Wars.
Do you really think that? Wow. It's a bold claim to make.
What did I say?
That Empire Strikes Back is better than Phantom Menace.
Oh, the fight scenes, I mean. Everyone knows Empire's better than Phantom, but the fight scenes, some people still think Phantom's better
talk
when it's
about
not.
the three-way duel in Phantom versus
but it's the pauses, it's the drama, the fights are good, the action's very good, but it's those moments when you've got to follow the rhythm that make a fight scene, make an action sequence good, and this has that.
It takes more than choreography, and we've always said that, and again, Star Wars is the example of that. Yeah. And here, choreography is the wrong word, because apart from a couple of times a season in Koba, there's not really any one-on-one
punch-ups. Well, it is choreography, even in the group scenes, the battle sequences.
The choreography of the battle, and the choreography of Malcolm running through a building as apes are accessing different bits of it, and he's trying to avoid being seen. Yeah. It's still choreographed stuff together, and all that works really well. But that on its own wouldn't be enough.
No. You need
as you said, you need your character moments, your plot moments. That
it's an assured hand that he has.
Very much so. That shot on there's a shot on the top of a tank where the camera has basically just been bolted to the side of the tank and it swivels with the tank.
Yeah, that's very good.
And we're not on the end of the barrel just aiming at stuff. It's cleverer than that. We're sat at the back corner. And we just follow as the tank's rolling around and the top half of the tank is rotating and there's chaos erupting all around it. Really clever, really well done.
I do feel that the climactic duel, it gets a little bit blockbustery. When you add into it all the stuff happening at the base of the building as well.
Yeah, that's where it strays into generic blockbuster territory for me.
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's still very good as far as generic blockbuster goes.
Oh, absolutely. It's a much better.
It should be a fight between two people, and without wanting to spoil, it becomes a fight between two people on a building that's had its base blown up and is about to collapse.
Yes.
And it adds too much busyness. Business. It's too much business.
Yeah. That's in both senses. Yeah. Absolutely. And you're absolutely. It immediately made me think of, and although this is a wonderful film that I loved, but it made me think, for maybe slightly the wrong reasons, of Bucky and Steve in that helicarrier at the end of Winter Soldier, where again you're invested in who these two people are and why they're fighting, but you're why does this fight need to take place in this spectacular, bombastic location? And it does. It looks great, and it is very exciting. It's very well put together. But it could have been just as powerful, if not more powerful. If even the setting on top of the building's okay, the fact that they're surrounded by spectators and there's all this chaos kicking off at the bottom, I think is what kind of weakens it. If it was just the two of them, mano a mano.
I think the spectators are okay for my money.
Okay.
I think all the apes watching on is fine because they're trying to see who their alpha would be. Yeah. But it should be just that. But then it's the explosions and the collapsing building bits.
And there's bits of scaffolding falling everywhere, and it's
yeah. That's the bit that gets me.
But I would agree with that. I think that's a fair criticism, and as we've said, a minor one in what's an excellent film.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, at the worst, that's taking half a star off your movie.
Yeah, if that.
If that. It's very, very, very good.
Yeah. A few people on Twitter and the blogospheres have been decrying the female characters in the film. We mentioned Kerry Russell earlier.
Yeah.
Also, Caesar's wife doesn't get a lot of time.
She gets naff all to do.
There's very few of the female apes. There's very few other female humans. It's very sort of male-centred. Which, on the one hand, ape society maybe is that way inclined, but on the other hand, it's written by humans and starring and directed by humans, and we should know better.
I think that's my beef. It's not enough to spoil the movie, and it's not crass in its treatment of women. It's not again like a Michael Bay film.
It's not misogynistic. It's just ignorant of the female character, the female perspective,
and it's probably been done without intent. It's it's a carelessness,
thoughtlessness rather than malice.
There's a couple of things you could have done. You could have beefed up Cornelia,
which is a reference to Cornelius from the original time.
You could have beefed up Cornelia's role slightly, And again, see, that's what I mentioned with Kerry Russell. It's not that she doesn't get anything to do, actually. So you're right, I apologise for contradicting you there, because she does get stuff to do and what she gets to do as well. But I don't get too comfortable. I think my thing is, you've got two female characters in this thing. Mm-hmm. You've got Kerry Russell and Cornelia. And interestingly enough, Kerry Russell's character, none of us can remember her name, we're referring to her by the actress's name. But Cornelia gets nothing to do, and Kerry Russell gets one thing to do, which is act as a nurturing mother figure. You know, why is it the female role is always the...
Well, she saves Cornelia's... Spoilers. She acts as a vet for Cornelia.
Yeah.
And we don't see the act of veterinary care.
Yeah.
It glosses over it.
Yeah, it happens
why can I not see this woman doing science to science to science? Yeah. Because she's a woman, that's why.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a frustration. And again, it's difficult to know where you would add these things. You know, it's easy for us to sit in our armchairs and criticise and say, you know, because I'm trying to think how would I rewrite the film, and to be honest, I don't think I could have written the film as well as it's written. So
no,
it is a juggling act.
I would add things in rather than change things.
Yeah, I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more from both of them. Mm-hmm. Judy Greer was Cornelia.
Who's Judy Greer?
She is. I'm trying to think when you know what the best example is. She's in that comedy thing with Jason Biggs and Sarah Chalk. She's an American comedian.
Oh! Yeah. She's from Arrested Development?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she was Cornelia.
How interesting.
And this is kind of...
Quite a talented comic actress.
This is kind of my beef. You only know...
She spends the whole film lying down in bed almost.
Yeah, you wouldn't...
All right.
I just wonder if there's a lot of her stuff on the cutting room floor.
Possibly.
Because Koba, in the first film, Koba was played by... Terry something. The actor's name it escapes me. I'm sorry.
He was a stuntman.
He was a stuntman / movement coach.
Yeah.
Who played Koba in the first one, and that was fine because Koba's role was very
one-dimensional,
very physical. He hadn't learned to sign yet.
Well, he was the mean ape. That's all he was.
The mean ape, and he's only introduced about 40 minutes from the end. He's not in the entire movie.
No.
He comes in much later than Caesar. And he has a very just physical role, no speaking communication, and it suits it perfectly. And in this role, in this film, because Koba was going to be a major player, mm-hmm. they got an actor in who learnt the movements from the movement coaches, but could still do the acting with his face and so on, because they needed an actor who
mm-hmm.
could give performance for Koba. So that tells you when the role's small enough, they're quite happy to use one of the umpteen experts they've got on hand mm-hmm. to just come in and move like an ape and do that. So why then did they cast an actress as Cornelia if it was always intended that her role was going to be so minimal? Why mm-hmm. isn't that just one of the stunt guys or gals? So
they're not thinking about part 3 yet, are they? We know they're not started writing part 3, so can't be bringing her in now for a bit
might
of
have
later,
ideas, but certainly not.
Yeah.
So I think there might have been more of Cornelia on the script that either didn't get shot or got shot and didn't get rendered, mm-hmm. or even got rendered and then still got cut.
Yeah,
we just don't know.
Yeah,
but I would be willing to bet there's more there. That's Anna Paquin in Days of Future Past, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very quickly, speaking of which, whether it will be edited back into the film or not, that whole storyline will be an extra
on the DVD
on the X-Men Blu-ray.
To be honest, if it wasn't at least on as an extra, there would be something fundamentally wrong.
But I mean, more than just deleted scenes, I think.
Oh, it's going to be
meant to be either a short film
about
Magneto and X-Men, Magneto Press X doing that, rather than anyway. So Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes. Awesome. So other than,
I'll tell you one of the. Sorry, can I just jump in here? Yeah. One of the things which I like Dotpota for doing less than Rotpota is the constant referring back to the original franchise. It might be because I watched the Everything Wrong With, or it might just be because I genuinely thought this, but there are so many references to the original Planet of the Apes in Rise.
Yeah.
From Get Your Hands Off Me, You Stinking Ape, to other bits and bobs. It just seemed a little bit too much like fan service, whereas this doesn't have that, this film. It's far more assured with itself. Yeah. It's a sequel to a successful film. in its own right, and it's going to be part of its own reboot franchise, not constantly referring back. So apart from Cornelia, as a reference to Cornelius, there's very little.
Well, even Cornelia's name is from Rise.
Is it?
She's named. She's one of the chimps in the sanctuary with Caesar and Rocket, but she gets taken away for tests or something before Caesar leads his breakout.
Right.
So she's referenced and seen once, but she's not a major player in the battle on the bridge at the end. But so even then, even her name is an Easter egg, but it's an Easter egg from Rise that carried into Dawn, as is Caesar's. Obviously, Caesar's name is an Easter egg.
Well, that's not an Easter egg, though. That's canonical. Caesar was the first ape.
Yeah, he's
the Jesus ape.
Yeah, so it's not so much an Easter egg. He's the same character in the reboot.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't really think of any beyond that are in Dawn. Any shout outs? I'm trying to think of people's names, because there's a lot. Jacobs, who's James Franco's boss in Rise, was a producer. Is named for one of the producers of the original film, and things like that. And I'm trying to think: are the humans' names in Dawn are Easter eggs? But I don't think they are. Malcolm isn't an Easter egg,
except maybe to you.
Except to me, of course. They got my email. Dreyfus, I don't think is an Easter egg.
No.
I can't think. There's Richard Dreyfuss, but I don't think he was ever involved in
the
Apes. And I mean, we don't know if Kerry Russell's character is an Easter egg, so we can't remember her name, or Cody Smith McPhee.
I love him and Maurice.
Yeah, that was a nice.
I love him and Maurice. Maurice is the orangutan.
Maurice named for
the guy that played Dr.
Zaius. Maurice Evans? No.
Yeah, maybe.
I think. Yeah, named for Dr. Zaius.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Zaius.
So, it's a brilliant film, and you should go and see it.
Absolutely. Will we slap a rating on this bad boy?
Yeah. I will definitely be giving it 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
Is that how we do it? It's not how we do it.
It's totally not.
I've forgotten how we do
I
it.
do these things to hurt me.
I don't. No, it's been a while.
Well, we each give it something out of 5. I can't tell if you're trolling me right now.
I'm not.
You genuinely
I don't troll.
You do. You troll
I
all
don't
the time.
troll.
You don't call it trolling.
No, I don't call it trolling.
But it's what you do.
Well, yeah, I do the act, but I don't call it
trolls
trolling.
me on a daily basis.
So 5 stars each, and then out of 10 is our final.
We give it out of 5, and then we combine our that to the Malc.
What would you give it?
I'm giving it 4.5.
Well, I'm going to give it 4.
Okay.
I would give it 4.5, but I'm opposed to giving it halves if we've limited ourselves to 5 each.
Do you know what's funny? Your memory is shocking, because I didn't want to give halves, and I think it was Days of Future Past. Did I
argue for halves?
Well, that's what you argued. I said I don't really want to do a half. Can a half be a thing? And you said yeah, half can be a thing.
Okay.
And then we each gave it 4.5, so it ended up with with 9. But no, if we're dropping halves, then I would agree.
If you're giving it 4.5, I'd give it 5 then, because I think it's half a point better than X-Men.
So it would end up with 9.5.
No, it's not half a point better than X-Men, is it?
No.
It's as good as, maybe.
It's dramatically far more satisfying, but then there's an awesomeness factor in X-Men that's and there's a built-in franchise love here, but then this
visually X-Men is better just because of the scale of some of the set.
The ideas and behind the visuals, the quality of the special effects, I would argue are better here. You know, the matted ape fur in the rain is a stunning technical achievement, but it's not as visually inventive as Sentinel going through a blink portal.
They're both films that you don't want to miss.
Yes.
And I think Transformers has made more than both of them.
Oh, probably. No, I don't think it has yet. You know,
has it not good?
It's not made $1 billion yet, and X-Men's already over 700.
Oh, good. Okay.
700 mil. So it's way over 700.
We are going to be touching on Transformers at some point this year, maybe sort of towards the autumn time.
Yeah.
Because it's a request from a viewer, I think.
Yeah, a request from a quote-unquote friend.
Yeah, so
who wanted to subject us to Michael Bay's Summer of Pain.
We're gonna be doing that later on. Suffice to say, we haven't seen it yet, but I can fairly easily say
I disagree.
It's not very good.
I disagree. I think we've seen it 3 times already, and yet we're going to go and see it a 4th time anyway. Like millions of other people.
Fair enough.
Sorry. So
4.5 then. 4.5.
4.5.
9 out of 10.
You're 4. I think 9 out of 10 is fair for this film.
I think it's that good.
It flirted with the 10, but we talked about the lack of development for the female characters.
The over-actioning
the over-actioning of the climax. I think half a star for each of those is fair. 9 out of 10. That's a solid recommendation.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Go and see it, or else you'll go ape. Let's not do that anymore. Let's not do these.
Do you know
this is your. He said this. He sold me this line before we started recording. He made it up.
You're trolling.
I'm trolling you.
You're trolling
time.
again.
I am trolling.
Yeah.
Still though.
Yeah.
Let's not do those pun sum ups.
No. Just go and see it because it's a damn good film. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go with an appropriate bluntness.
Yeah.
Or appropriate bluntness in this case. Yeah.
It is a damn good film.
It is a damn good film.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
That's kind of us, isn't it?
I think so. We've covered Dotpota. We've covered current events.
Yeah.
Or recent events. So yeah, the next vidcast will probably be Guardians.
Yeah.
I imagine. We've also got some more podcasts
on the way.
Hopefully, on the way soon. So we'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Posted. That's like an internet pun because you post things online. I'm straight trolling you, G.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I can't think of any more news.
No, well, we'll be coming out with Guardians, and we'll be seeing you again next time there's good films to review.
Probably also have, when we do Guardians, as a reaction to the second half of Comic Con weekend.
Yes.
The way things have worked out, they're the time difference between us and the States, they're about halfway through Saturday now.
Yeah.
So we've had Friday's reveals and Saturday mornings, and then by the time we next cast our vid or pod into the ocean, we will Comic Con will be over, and I'm sure we'll have a rash of announcements and casting decisions. And we didn't talk about Joaquin Phoenix as Doctor Strange. Joaquin Phoenix might be Doctor Strange. Here's hoping it's awesome.
We'll get more on that.
More on that
the
in
Guardians
a later
podcast.
Day. Yeah.
And as always, if you've got any recommendations for films you'd like us to talk about, please put a comment on the YouTube page, wherever the comment bar may be.
You're never letting that go, are you? Even when I pointed at the thing. Yeah.
And thank you for watching.
Yeah. Bye now. As soon as we can make it happen, we'll make it happen.
If we didn't have, wives and girlfriends and children and things.
And jobs and things.
Yeah.
Don't tell the wives about the girlfriends and children. I'm going to be in so much trouble for that.